Welcome back. Young people everywhere want to be like their idols. In the U.S., like much of the world, that means the people they see in the movies and on TV. It affects what they eat. It affects what they buy. It affects the way they see themselves. Joining us now to talk about that is Jessica Weiner, a woman who had some problems growing up but emerged quite successfully and has written about her adventures in a book titled A Very Hungry Girl. Thanks so much for being with us. Let me ask you, first of all, about your broadest sense of American young people. Looking at the statistics or looking at Britney Spears, you get a sense that they are wild pleasure seekers growing up under enormous pressure with way too much money and way too little parental guidance. Is that fair?
Well, it's half fair. As all things in the media, we get a very broad picture of an American teenager that is this wild, pleasure-seeking, Britney Spears-loving, sex-crazed, body-obsessed fool. And that's about halfway true. I think that we have a severe epidemic happening in this country with low self-esteem that is affecting our young people's body image and their sexual behaviors and all these other ailments. But I don't think it's actually all of our young people. I think that there's a large majority of young people who want to see themselves represented differently in the media.
Now, you have come through all of this. Tell us about yourself and your past.
Well, I was what you called an in-between girl. I was somebody struggling with anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating disorder from the time I was 11 years old. And that meant that I was restricting my food, and I was purging through exercise and laxatives and diuretics, and I was overeating my food. And because I didn't look like Mary-Kate or the people that I saw in the magazines and the newspapers, I didn't think that I was sick, and I didn't think that I deserved to get help. And luckily for me, I had a clinic where I went to college here in the United States that saw that I had a problem while I was in college, helped me start to get, on the recovery process. And it's been a long road since. It's 13 years now later, and I'm removed from the symptoms, but are always struggling as an American woman with the body image issues, with self-esteem, and in learning how to be comfortable in the skin that I'm in.
Now, you travel around the country, you meet a lot of teens. What do they tell you? Are they going through the same kinds of things?
The teens that I work with are an incredible crisis right now because they know that they are more than their body parts, but the images that they see every single day, and not just on television, but in the magazines, in the newspapers, on the internet, all around them in their peer groups, are showing them that there's only one way to look and one way to act. And so I think our teens are in a real crisis point because they know that they have more potential inside of them, but we're not talking to them about what really matters. We're not talking to them about boundaries and how to love yourself from the inside and how to be a strong human being, both for a boy and a girl. We're selling them sex, and we're selling them skinniness, and we're telling them that they're not enough the way that they are.
Now, someone watching this from outside the United States, even people watching inside the United States, are going to ask, where are the parents, where are the teachers, where are the religious leaders, the kinds of authority figures that once upon a time people thought were guiding and forming young people?
Absolutely. We need a call to action for those people, Jonathan. In this country, we need our parents, our coaches, our educators, our clergy, our community leaders to come forward and to say enough is enough. I want to stop selling sex to our children. I want to begin a more proper sex education program in our schools. We prescribe right now to a predominantly abstinence-only programming, and that's not realistic. It's an ideal sense. It's not realistic. We're not talking to our kids about the issues that really matter, and we're seeing a real deficit from an over-sexualized, undereducated youth culture. And you're right, we need our parents to come forward and speak more, and we need people, adults in young people's lives, to walk their talk.
We're going to be talking more about abstinence in a moment, but let me ask you about another symptom or maybe a cause here. Is it affluence? Is it the fact that there are so many rich youngsters who really don't have material concerns and who are becoming consumers and really rabid consumers much too young?
Well, all of our children in the United States, whether they're from affluent families or not, have incredible access to imagery and information, technology and product that we didn't have when we were kids and other generations didn't have as well. So there's a certain privilege in all of the classes. But I think that kids, yes, who have more time and more money on their hands and not any sense of structure in their life are a little bit more at risk. Remember, for eating disorders in this country, we're looking at 10 million women and 1 million men who are struggling with a diagnosable eating disorder, and that crosses all race, gender, and class lines.
So is this getting better or worse, do you think?
I think we're actually in a period where it is getting worse, and it's something that we need to pay attention to. On the flip side of this issue is the fact that America is obsessed with the obesity issue. And while it is a very legitimate health concern in this country, we are not as focused on the mental health concerns such as an eating disorder and focusing on really educating and doing prevention and education. Everybody is very fat phobic, and so what we're seeing is a real backlash of gaining weight, and yet we have the fattest country now in the world. And so there's a real mixed message happening, and I think that's why we're seeing an increased trend in body dissatisfaction with our American teens, and why we're not seeing the same dissatisfaction in other countries.
Jess Weiner, author of A Very Hungry Girl. Thanks so much for talking with us.
Thank you.